4:30 we should be out. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Okay, so we were here. We talked about, this clicker is not working again. Oh, here, it's working. Okay, so we talked about initiation, and in initiation we discussed how we move forward. We want to make sure that questions, when they're asked, we answer them properly. I wanted to show you some pitfalls. Pitfalls means when someone is coming from different places, these are some of the things they're using. So like sometimes I'll watch a dawah series and I'll have like the guy and I'm watching this, right? And I'm listening to this. Not that I'm saying this is my habit to do this. I'm not a big watcher of videos of dais and debates and all this. But let's just say if I once in a while I do watch, and I'm watching this guy and he's discussing and he's going back and he goes, yeah, no, I don't believe in oneness. I believe there's multitudes of gods. And you're thinking, why is he saying this? Why? Because his ancestors come from a tradition that they believe in multiple gods. So it's his upbringing. Like, for example, I'll meet someone like, yeah, I don't believe in God, but if there was a God, we must be made in the image of God. Where does that come from? It comes from the Bible, right? It comes from the teachings of the church. So sometimes people, like even Muslims, when they're astray, right? They're astray. Like when they're not practicing, they don't know Islam, you'll see them as much as they're astray, but they have Islamic virtues inside them, right? Because it's you are what you've been taught, whether you like it or not. Anyway, so moving forward, why are we talking about this? Is whenever your dawah stops, it's because one of these reasons. So here's what we're saying. Here's a paragraph, here's a little tidbit. Sheikh Abdul Rahim Green wrote a book for atheism. It's called Man with the Red Underpants. And the book is basically about this. A man with the red underpants comes to your door and he knocks on your door and he says, I'm the meter man and I come to check your meter. Will you let him in? Why not? Why are you shaking your head? Why not? Why are you not letting him in? He says, I'm the meter man. He's wearing only red underpants. Doesn't have a shirt. This is not probably healthy for a masjid. But let's just understand the concept. Why wouldn't we let him in? Yes, brother. It's very suspicious, but what are you using to get to that deduction? Yeah, but what are you using? Huh? Yeah, but what are you using? Logic. Is it logical? Is it logical to not wear shirts? Is that what it is? Some people don't. In Africa, don't people wear shirts sometimes? It's not illogical. Yes. Previous experience. Okay. But where does that come from? Yes, brother. Sorry? I can't hear you, brother. Yeah, we can say that. But here's what I'm trying to show you. You go to the doctor and you say, I have a stomach ache. What does the doctor use to assess you? He asks questions based on his previous experience. So when he's using his previous experience, he asks you certain questions. What did you eat? What you've been doing? Blah, blah, blah. Let me check your stomach. He's using his common sense and his rationale based on his previous experiences, right? That's what he's using, right? He doesn't know that this is 100% what it is. He's like, okay, I've studied this matter. I've seen other people with the same thing, and the symptoms are similar. Like, for example, one of the mashayikhs, he gives this, his name is Sheikh Fahad Taslim, he gives this example. He goes, I have 2 kids. One of them loves this, this special chips. And I tell him, son, you cannot have these chips, okay? And they're two boys. One of them loves it. The other one doesn't love it, right? And what happens? I tell him, you can't have these chips anymore. He goes to bed. I wake up in the morning, the chips are gone. Somebody went in and ate those chips. And I find that there's a crumb, is an example that he gives. I'm just using his. I find a crumbs leading all the way to one of the boys that loves the chips. What's he using? What would he think, the father? That my boy ate the chips, right? So what's he using? He's using common sense based on what he's observed, based on his previous experiences, that he's going to have an assumption that his son ate, the one who loves chips that we told him not to eat, he's eating these chips, right? But could it be that the other son set him up? Could be, right? All I'm saying is we use this all our life. We use common sense, previous experiences, based on our understanding of the worldview. So what we're trying to show, so when a man with a red underpants, the example we're trying to show here is we're trying to get them to think. They have stopped thinking. The atheists, they have stopped thinking. I believe atheism is the most irrational, illogical worldview. Because if you believe that something can come from nothing, that is the most irrational. And I don't think anybody believes that. That's why Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he says, atheisms in their core are liars. Why are they liars? Why are atheists liars? Because they lie to themselves. They don't lie to you. I don't believe. Can you believe that something comes from nothing? No. So they're the ones that are the most illogical. Anyway, so to awaken, yes, brother. Yeah. So yeah, it has to come from something. Beautiful, right? So something has to come from something. Can't come from nothing. So what we're saying here is when we're talking about the man with the red underpants, what we're trying to show to the person we're discussing. So the first we talked about characters. We talked about, thank you very much for asking that question. That was a really good question. In order for you to understand this question, I want to like to explain some foundations of Islam. You got that covered. Now, they're discussing and they're like, well, I really believe in Jesus. He loves me, died for my sins. Or, Buddha, he's good enough for me because, he's given me the 8 virtues. You guys know anything about Buddhism here? Okay, what is 8 virtues or 7 virtues? Have you studied? Anyway, so what their goal is to reach nirvana. I don't know if you know that. They want to try to, so they have these 8 things they live by, yeah? So like, everything I need is in Buddhism. Okay? Let me ask you a question. When someone is doing meditations of yoga and they're like, I'm gonna go, whatever they're doing, I'm not knocking them, okay? I'm not disrespecting them. And they're like, what are you doing, bro? He's like, yeah, well, I'm trying to get to this stage, this nirvana. What are they trying to do? Who are they worshiping though? Because in Buddhism, they don't believe in God. They're worshiping themselves. If you're trying to make yourself happy, then your ilah is you. As Allah says, don't you see the one who takes his own hawa as his own ilah? You becoming truthful or becoming happy, and you're not contingent on the one. Like if I open the door for you to enter, what will you say? Thank you. So you thank me, right? So you're thanking someone other than you. Because someone other than you opened that door. Who are we thankful to? Who are we thankful to? Look, the Quran starts with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And what's the first ayah in Surah Fatiha? Alhamdulillah. What does that mean? What is it? What does it mean? All thanks, all praise and thanks to Allah. So we start with gratitude and we start with thanking. But who are we thanking? Are we thanking ourselves? No, we're thanking Allah. Our whole theology is built upon starting with shukr. Thank you. So when you're doing this Buddhism, who are you thanking? You're thanking yourself, right? That's really what you're doing. All I'm saying is this new age spirituality, oh, I just want to feel. What are you feeling? You're feeling yourself. Like, oh, I want to feel spiritual. But who are you? Who are your duty? Like, when we give sadaqah, when we do good deeds, it's not because, like, if someone gives someone money, like the Sikh guy I was speaking to this morning, he's like, yeah, I like to help people. I'm like, are you really helping others or are you helping yourself? Like when someone gives charity and he doesn't believe in God, who is he helping? He's helping himself because it makes him feel good. Do you guys, and I'm not saying giving sadaqah doesn't make you feel good. Yes, it does. But the reality is, real sadaqah is we're doing it for Allah. Because Allah has blessed us. So anyway, long story short, without going into tangent, what we want to get them to understand is man with the red underpants. The concept is, in order to make our worldview understand objectively, not subjectively, it can't be your personal feelings. It cannot be your dreams. It can't be your experience. It can't be your ancestors. Well, I'm Hindu because my mom is Hindu. Well, I'm Muslim because my mom is Muslim. That doesn't work, right? We need an objective truth. What is objective, brothers? Well, many brothers, because I didn't know what objective was. I didn't even thought about it. I know the word. What is objective? Yes, brother. Shh. Sorry. I want to hear this, brother. Okay, so it's based on someone else's opinion? But who makes that law? So then that's not objective. Yes. This is all subjective, by the way. Yeah, all of these, every one of them are subjective. Every single one of them. Your feelings, subjective. Your dreams, subjective. Experiences, subjective. I'm not rejecting them. So if someone had a good experience, I'm not rejecting. I'm just saying, your ancestors, we don't say, oh, your parents are idiots. No, that's not what we're saying here. We're not being disrespectful. We're not saying that we don't appreciate you had a good vision. We're not saying that you have good feelings towards other people. What we're saying is, we need to get to an objective truth. I'll give you an example. If I was not born in the year that I was born, and today, would the earth go around the sun? The earth, would it go around the sun? Yes? So whether I was born or not, it's going to go around, at this moment, it's going around the sun. Whether later it goes or not, that's a secondary point. So at this time, the earth is going around the sun. That's an objective truth. 2 plus 2 will be 4, right? Yes? If I was not born, would 2 plus 2 be 4 or no? It will always be 4. So that's an objective truth. It's not dependent, contingent on me. It's not my feelings. So we need to get to something that's objective truth. So when they say, well, I believe in this, I believe in feelings, I have these are something, we need something, we're not negating them. So please, we're not teaching you to say, you're an idiot, man. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not what we're teaching. We said, I appreciate that. I understand where you're coming from, but really we need something a little bit more than just feelings. So in Islam, we believe what? We believe there's a creator. He's one. He deserves to be worshipped. Anyway, the premise here is to talk about this is how do we know if something is true? Okay, we give experience. I give examples like, look, in order for us to know the truth, we use our common sense and our rationale day to day. Like when I play soccer, do I play blindfolded? No, right? I use my senses. I use my rationale. You understand? I use common sense. We use it every single day, whether it's doctors, whether it's anything we do. So here's what we're saying. In order to us to make sense of the world, has to be something other than so it's very simple. I think Islam makes everything so simple. I don't know why do we get into these intellectual mumbo jumbo words. Simple. Don't follow your own personal desires. Don't follow your ancestors, right? And don't follow your own hawa. Okay? Basically, don't follow your own akal, because your akal can be wrong, right? Don't follow your culture, urf. Don't follow your ancestors. Simple. Okay. The last part for today, inshallah, is how do we explain there's a creator? Yes, brother. So we let them, so what's the sunnah? Always, wallahi, wallahi, if we just keep going back to the sunnah, our life will be so good. I'll give you an example. I used to work for a corporation, and they called in this company. It was called, I can't remember what the company, it was some big company. They paid millions and millions of dollars to come and educate us how to act at work. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm really mesmerized, and I'm listening to this guy, the way he's behaving, his arms, the way he's talking. I'm like, that's pretty good. When I studied the Islam and I studied the seerah of the Prophet, the sunnah of the Prophet, wallahi, it's all there. I'm like, why are these guys paying millions of dollars or something we have for free in Islam? All I'm saying is, let's go back to the Prophet. How would he deal with someone who just going around like this? What would he do? He would let him finish. He would let him finish. And he would say, are you done? He goes, yes. Okay, now do you have a few minutes I can explain? Yeah? You get it? Yeah, so at some point you interject and say, I really appreciate you, and you have a really good reason for what you're saying, and I acknowledge where you're coming from. I was like that. I understood it this way. However, do you have a few minutes I can explain? Do you see, at some point you have to take control of the car. You can't let this guy just keep driving, okay? So, just any other questions on these points before we move to the last piece? Everybody's good? Sisters are good? Brothers are good? Alhamdulillah. Good. Okay, for today's last piece, today we're going to talk about God. Tomorrow we'll talk about oneness, then we'll talk about revelation and prophethood, and then we'll talk about problem of evil and suffering. We'll talk about evolution, we'll talk about science, we'll talk about all of these other shubhats that come in the middle of it. How do we know there's a God? All these things are going to be discussed tomorrow. And we'll be doing role plays and discussions. So here's what we want to share with you. We want to give you the skeleton. We want to give you the pillars. We want to give you the foundations, how to articulate the message. Your job is to add all of the stuff in it. Like, for example, we give you the bones, you add the meat. Just to make it very simple. Many of you, and I'll show you them, you guys know Islam more than you think you know. I was coming with the brothers here from Toronto, and I was shocked. Where is my marketing guy? Oh, there he is. I was shocked. I said, bro, where do you hang out? He's like, oh, I just pick up this stuff from this halaqah, and I pick up. Wallahi, we Muslims know a lot of Islam. We just don't know how to articulate it. Like my wife, she says, I lived in the Middle East, and she says, I just didn't know how to give dawah. The problem with us Muslims is this idea how to give dawah, we have untaught ourselves. We've left it. Do you guys understand? We don't know how to do it anymore. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about these du'as. We've left the art of calling people to Islam for many, many centuries, if not for a long, long time. So there is a bit of a revival. So all I'm saying is, I just want you to understand the concepts. You will add other stuff to it. So let me ask you the question. How would we articulate that there's a creator? How would we do it? Yeah. How would we do it? Who would like to add? How would we articulate there's a creator? You want to go?
Okay, so first thing you start by asking, where does whoever you're talking to, what's his origins, and like where he came from, and then you start with the examples that everyone knows, like something cannot come from nothing, and give an example of example was given by I can't remember who, but about a ship.
How about black holes that come from nothing?
Good point.
Yeah. How about there's these worms that come out of nothing? Okay. Here's what I want you to hold on to. There's a principle in Islam Something cannot come from nothing. It's a principle. Even if they come with any answers, we hold on to that principle, even if we don't know the answer. I don't care. Anything that's physical must be dependent and contingent on something. Everything. Black hole, dots, molecules, carpet, trees. Everything that begins to exist must have a cause. So I just wanted to throw you off to bring you back. Yeah. So go ahead.
So you can say that if you stick to that, and for us to be here, for the universe to be created, it has to begin at one point.
Yeah.
And then if you say, okay, for example, okay, God created the universe, but then they might ask who created
We don't
God.
say that, by the way. Just my humble advice. The problem why we don't say that in the beginning, my humble, people hate religion in the West. They do. They hate religion. Why do they hate religion? Because the church has done so much injustice in the name of church. There are people are upset with religion. That's why they hate Muslims. Because they don't understand, because Islam is not a religion, it's a way of life. They think it's like Christianity. Go to the church, go to the masjid, pay your chanda or your whatever charity. We say there is a cause. So in this argument, this discussion, we're saying, how do we prove that there is something? Something cannot come from nothing. Do you agree to this principle, John? Yes. Move forward. That's it. Do you guys get it? If you hold on to that, that's all you need to do. Who that being is, what that being is, and why that being is, it's a separate discussion. Make sense? MashaAllah, very good, by the way. Go ahead. What else can we show to explain there's a creator? What else can we show? Just rational stuff. Yes, brother. There's some hands up. Yes.
I mean, you wouldn't say that your phone came from nothing.
Beautiful. Excellent. That's good enough. That's it. Excellent. Excellent. Any more? Yes, brother. Well, what if it says, I don't see the dependency? Well, I haven't traveled back in time.
There's a lot of things that we have seen that people have not seen in this world that they can believe has come from an independent source.
Yeah, but here's what I'm
the building, for example.
Here's what I'm saying. The humble advice is, something cannot come from nothing. Just hold on to that.
Yeah.
You don't have to prove to them there's a God. I think the word God trips people off. And maybe not trips us.
It's a trigger warning nowadays.
If for them it's like, oh God. You know what they believe in God, by the way, just so you guys, because you gotta, you know, the Salaf, when they used to give dawah, or the pious predecessors, they used to assess the person first. Where's he at? You understand? They didn't just walk into Hindus and say, okay, let's start giving them dawah. They choose to understand. So what I'm trying to say, we need to understand their worldview. Their worldview is, well, the reason I don't believe in God, because there must be God that speaks to trillions of people. He answers their dua, supplication, and they ask for money, and God sends down money from the heavens. And when he blows, the winds fall and the ships move. Well, that's what they believe in God. Is that what our worldview of God is? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, sustains, and cherishes and nourishes everything. However, laysa kamithlihi shay, there's nothing like Allah. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Explaining what that means. Allah is not dependent and contingent on anything. We want to give them these ideas. Okay? But before we get to explaining who Allah is, we want this part. How do we explain? The brother did it, mashallah. Very excellent. Simple argument. Here's a simple argument. This is a phone. I don't have my phone here, but this is a phone. The phone is made from what? This is not a phone, but what's a phone made out of? Plastic. What else is made out of? Metal. Glass. Can we find all of these items if we were to dig deep in the desert? Would find oil. Plastic comes from oil, right? Plastic comes from oil, right? Glass is made through sand. Yes? Yes or no? Can we find precious metal material in the sand? Yeah, maybe there is some, maybe there isn't. All I'm saying is, would they accept that a phone we find in the middle of the desert and we see it? Just give them this example and say, look, we were in the middle of the desert, we find an iPhone. And all of a sudden we can say for trillions and trillions of years, the earth collided, the sand shook, and all of a sudden the oil came out, turned into rubber, and the glass sanded and now it became glass. And now all of a sudden the precious metal came, and now I have an iPhone and I'm going to call my grandmother. Yeah. Well, it just created itself. You guys get it? Would they accept that? Why wouldn't they accept it? It's crazy, right? That's what I'm saying. So they are crazy. That's when they say there's nothing, nobody created all. They're crazy. So we want to show them. So here's what I'm sharing. Create the discussion. I don't think I started. Oh yeah, I did. Create the discussion with a very simple argument that everything cannot come from nothing. Everything cannot create itself. That's a principle. Do you agree to that? Yes. You know what they'll say? Yeah, maybe there's some power. Maybe there's some energy. Maybe there's some force. I'm not sure. That's okay. Don't argue that point. They'll be like, oh no, it's not an energy, bro. We can discuss that later. Let them now. It's like one of the brothers who gives Dawah training in the UK says, Dawah is easy is called. He taught me something really amazing. Anybody of you went fishing? When you go fishing and there's a big fish, okay, really big fish, and then you try to wheel it in and it's pulling, what do? You let it go. And then what do? And then what do? Let it go again. And then what do? But why do you do that? You tire the fish out. Sometimes we'll think someone is very intellectual, they're going back and forth. You don't have to win every argument. Sometimes let the argument go and say, okay, fine, you believe it's an energy. Let's just keep moving forward. Now you start talking about who God is, and we'll discuss that. So all I'm saying is, the first discussion is to just keep it simple. Something cannot come from nothing. Do you agree to this principle? Yes. The universe didn't come from nothing. Do you agree to that? Yes. That's it. That's your dawah starting. Now, what that thing is, it's a second question, which they have issues with. We're going to talk about the problem of evil and suffering and all these things tomorrow. That's what you want to focus on. And I'm not saying you guys are wrong. It's just my humble advice from my failures that I've done in the past. Okay, give them some rational, intuitive answers. Who knows the habitable zone? Yes, sister.
I have a question.
Sure.
What you said earlier, like God, nothing comes from nothing, right?
Something
Like,
cannot come from nothing.
Something
Yes.
cannot come from nothing.
Yeah.
But God Himself created Himself, like He kind of came from nothing. So
Okay.
does that argument even make sense?
Let's go back to the ayah. Qul huwallahu ahad. What does that mean? What did I ask earlier? What does it mean?
That God is one,
Is He one?
one of one.
Did I say is one? What's one in Arabic?
Wahid.
Wahid. So it doesn't say wahid. It says Qul huwallahu wahid. It says Qul huwallahu ahad. What is ahad? Huh? He's one and only. He's uniquely one. What we're saying is everything that begins to exist must have a cause. Allah is this one unique agent who's not like any other agent, who doesn't have a beginning and an end. He's always been there. And we'll discuss that a little later. Do you understand what I'm saying? Allah is Al-Awwal. What does that mean? First. Allah is Al-Akhir. He's the last. Allah is Al-Ghani. What is Al-Ghani? He's independent. He's not dependent on anything. He's As-Samad. What is Samad? He's self-sufficient. He's not contingent on dependent. So Allah is one unique agent, then no one created Allah. Do you guys understand? They don't have to agree to this, okay? But I'm just saying is, this is what rationally, intuitively we can explain, that if there was a row of dominoes, let's just say there was a row of dominoes, okay? For miles and miles, those dominoes, but I cannot see the beginning. And if the first domino was triggered and the last domino fell on my foot, would I say there's no first domino? But that first domino, did it trip itself? Or was there an external force that was tripping that first domino? There has to be something, right? Energy, gas, wind, something. Do you guys understand? So this external force, like, you know, one argument I remember years ago, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first? Why? Maybe the egg came first. And we can have this discussion for like hours, by the way. We say in Islam, we're not talking about the chicken or the egg. There's an external force outside of this loop, which is Allah created the system that brought the chicken or the egg. Whichever one you want to come first, doesn't matter. Do you understand the point? Make sense, inshallah? Any other questions on this point? Okay? Any questions? Yes, brother in the back. I can't hear you, bro. Can you give the mic to this young man in the back?
How about if they believe in the Big Bang?
Yeah, so we'll discuss that. No, that's right here. Let me ask you a question. If there was a junkyard, okay? Was there a junkyard? We threw a bomb in there. Yeah, not the same with do Muslims. We don't do that kind of stuff. But if we were to throw a bomb in a junkyard, would we have brand new Mercedes rolling out? Guys, listen to my question for the young man. We threw a bomb in the junkyard. You know what a junkyard is, brother? It's where all the broken, finished cars, they get destroyed and they go there. Okay? Make sense? No, the young man. Make sense, brother?
Yes.
Okay, good. If we threw a bomb in a junkyard, would we have brand new Mercedes rolling out?
No.
Why not?
That's just making more destruction.
Exactly. We're not rejecting Big Bang. What we're saying, the universe had a beginning. We're saying the universe had a beginning. How the universe had a beginning, we don't know. We're not negating it. We're not accepting it. We're saying, okay. So what we're saying is, what we want to hold on to the principle again is what? Something cannot come from nothing. That's a principle we hold on to. That's it. Now you want to talk about what that thing is. We'll talk about that in a minute. But do you agree that something can come from nothing? Agree, yes. That's good enough. The universe had a beginning? Yes. Excellent. You want to call it Big Bang? Fine. You can talk about it. But the point is, we're saying the universe had a beginning. Okay? So give them, look. Somebody said something really beautiful. And he said, look, someone is honest. If you just give him one dalil, one evidence, he will accept it. Because he's honest. If someone is not honest, you can give him 68 arguments. He'll still say no. That's human beings. That's how they are, right? They're irrational sometimes. All I'm saying, so give them some simple arguments, okay? The habitable zone, what does that mean? If we were any further than the sun, we'd freeze. If we were any closer, we'd burn. Yes? So give them that example. Number two, the life is created for us to exist. Right? We're saying that if it's created like this, someone who has created the universe this way. Someone has created the planet Earth this way. The compositions of the gas. Look at all of the gases come together so we can just breathe and survive. Imagine the ozone layer gets destroyed. What would happen to us? We'd have no carbon dioxide. We wouldn't have oxygen and so on and so forth. So give them that explanation. How about this? How about if the Earth, instead of having a 24-hour cycle, we had a 68-day cycle. Like there was 68 days of light and 68 days of darkness. What would happen? Yeah, either would freeze or would get too hot. There'll be a disorder. So life is fit in a way that we exist. Do you agree to this premise, John? Yes, I do. Khalas, that's good enough. Okay, so what I'm trying to take you away from, because tomorrow, inshallah, when we go, tomorrow we'll talk about oneness, then we'll talk about prophethood, then we'll talk about all these other discussions. Today, we walk away. John, do you agree that the universe had a beginning? Yes, I agree the universe had a beginning. And then stop here. Tomorrow, that's your step number 4, yeah? Now you're doing the hook. You keep doing this, and you keep punching. Okay, John, do you agree that the universe had a beginning? Yes, he does. The universe had a beginning? Yes, he does. Okay, good. What that thing is, why that thing is, we'll discuss that tomorrow, inshallah. Okay? So, does that make sense to you, John? Yes, it does. Okay, do you agree? Okay, let's move forward. Now, before you guys go home, we have 5 minutes left. I would like everyone... So remember, one of the objectives of the class in the morning, what was it? What was one of the objectives? To get you to start speaking, to give you confidence. The reason I'm asking you to do these role plays is not because I'd like you to get you up and move you around. is for you, one of the things that the non-Muslims say, the Muslims are not speaking, is not for you to be really good at this. That's not the point. Remember when I was kicking the bag for like 60 days, I'm like, man, this doesn't even make fun anymore. I'm not asking you to become a great da'iyah. I'm asking you to just learn how to speak. You're gonna make mistakes. Even I make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But just getting in the habit of speaking. So I would ask everyone to, before you stand up, here's what I want you to do. Don't talk about evolution. Don't talk about philosophy of science. Don't talk about any other thing except, do you believe that everything that begins to exist must have a cause? Yes. The universe began to exist. Do you believe that this must have had a cause? Yes. That's it. If you've done that, you've covered this part. What that thing is, why that thing is, we're going to talk tomorrow. So, you can use the word God. Look, for me, wallahi, personally, when I use the word God, I say Allah. Do you know why I say Allah? Because Allah, to me, I explained, like I'll give you an example. One time I was giving dawah to one Christian guy, and this is true story, by the way. I'm not making any of this stuff up. I said, you know, I'm normally speaking and using words, and all of a sudden I was like, you know, we believe in Allah and da-da-da. And I realized, this guy, he doesn't know what Allah is. So I have to explain it. So I said Allah in the Arabic language. Who knows what Allah means in the Arabic language? You can say, but Jesus is God, Hanuman is God, Krishna is God, the trees are God, the planet Earth is God to someone. Huh? Yeah, so what does it mean, Allah? Yes. Yeah, we can say creator, sure. The first cause. We can. Jazakallah khair. Ilah. Al-ilah. Al-ilah. What is al? Who study Arabic here? The ilah, the deity that deserves to be worshipped. Remember, La ilaha illallah. It's not no God but God. There's no other deity that deserves to be worshipped except Allah. So when we use the word Allah, so I said to the guy, let me explain to you what I mean by Allah, whatever his name was. I can't remember now. He's like, I said, Allah in the Arabic means Al-Ilah, the deity that deserves to be worshipped. Do you know what happened? He started to cry. I'm like, bro, what did I do? You okay? What happened? He goes, Ali, you have no idea. I'm like, what? He's like, I've been going to the church for 3 years. I've been asking my pastor who's God, and he keeps giving me these runarounds. And within 3 words, you explain to me who God is. Do you guys understand that? All I'm saying is, I don't mind using the word God. I'm not saying I'm giving you fatwa. Don't you use God. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, if you're going to use Allah, explain who it is. Okay? If you're going to use God, be wise. Because remember what I said about Sheikh Abdul Rahim Green and the Hindu? They're both saying God. He's saying God and he's saying God. But they have a completely different understanding what God is. So be careful on that. That's all I'm saying. So let's just quick role play and then we'll call it a day and inshallah we'll start tomorrow morning. Jazakallah khair for sticking a little bit longer. Last role play and then we'll stop here. Everybody please rise. Pair up in twos. What are we doing?